Can you talk about the real estate business itself, how you started, how you established yourself there?
My intention was never to quit my full-time job. It's more like a hobby. So it's never going to bring me lots of side income.
I want to know how you pick those businesses, and then what are your criteria that you want to go into that particular line of business?
It has to be something that's been in business for 10 to 20 years, so it has a really good foundation.
How do you find these businesses? How about for small businesses? What's the lesson that you want to share?
A lot of business owners this day and age are retiring, and they're at that stage where they want to hand this business over, and they are open to very creative ways to finance it.
These hedge fund companies have tremendous interest in Arizona, while people sitting in Arizona might really not pay attention to what is happening around us. Lisa, I know you from the Toastmasters. I was blown away with your speech about real estate investing, having passive income, and then all the hiking that you do. I want to learn more about it because I want to inspire the audience about all of those. How you're getting the energy to do all the fun stuff, at the same time you have multiple streams of income.
Well, the energy has come from maintaining a good health throughout the years, and just being active and having a partner that's active. We both just love nature. We love to be outside. We live in a great state where there's a lot of activities that you can do and a lot of places to go. So
See, a lot of times we don't realize the opportunity that's in front of us, especially for outdoor activities, like you rightly pointed, and also for real estate investments. People
Exactly.
from all over the country, these hedge fund companies, have tremendous interest in Arizona, while people sitting in Arizona might really not pay attention to what is happening around us. But you are not one of those people.
No.
You really got your hands wet with real estate investing. Can you talk about the real estate business itself, how you started, how you established yourself there?
Well, the real estate investing started, I don't know, probably 30 years ago. I read Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I got so interested in real estate. And at the time, my sons were very young, and I was married, and I found a property that I could afford, and I bought my first one. And I was in the process of helping an elderly lady at the time. She needed an affordable place to live. And so I bought this property to help her out. And after I bought the first one, I wanted to buy another one. And so that's kind of where it all started. And I think living in the valley in Arizona, there's just a lot of, that it continues to grow every year. They're widening the highways. They're building more and more homes, and the place is just growing out of control. So you know that real estate is going to be a good investment. People want to come here. There's, Intel, and there's all the different semiconductor businesses here that people are going to continue to come here.
Everybody knows everything that you said, but everybody is not doing the things that you're doing.
You have to be a little bit of a risk taker to do this.
That's a great point. Yeah. So you are able to take risk, and you are able to acquire some of these properties.
Yes.
You have other streams of income as well. Are you okay to talk about some of those?
Sure, I do. I do love the real estate investing, and I've also been involved with Airbnb. I have one of my properties as an Airbnb. So I was able to diversify a little bit and not just have rental properties, but then Airbnb, which is a little bit of a different way to have that passive income.
Higher cash flow, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's been the easiest one of all, actually. And a few years ago, I decided I wanted to have another form of business or income on the side. And I love gardening. I love flowers. And I actually bought a very, very small business from a woman who was retiring. And she had about 15 clients at the time that she was managing in a very nice golf community in North Scottsdale. And so I took over her business, and I have a maintenance person that does the weekly work there and helps me with everything. And then recently I just have hired another person to help. So my intention was never to quit my full-time job, but to just have another job on the side that for something that's more like a hobby, you know. So it's never going to bring me lots of side income, but it's a hobby that it helps balance what I do at work that is more, you know, office work.
See, it's great. Even when I used to work at Intel, I loved my full-time job, and that was a job I got after winning all these competitions and then graduating, and that's the technical field I wanted to be in. And one guy asked me, how do you walk away from the job? I said, I never want to walk away from the job,
No,
right? You love
yeah.
it so much. And then there comes a tilting point also wherein you are like, okay, now I am able to be more not as risk averse, so I want to get into it. So when you're picking small businesses, you have your real estate business, it's very passive. And then you have your Airbnb, which is not as passive, but still it could be passive if you use a property manager. And then you have these other businesses that you mentioned. I want to know how you pick those businesses, and then what are your criteria that you want to go into that particular line of business.
Okay, well, the number one thing is it has to be a semi-absentee business, because I don't intend to leave my full-time job. I want to have something that I can have someone else run. And I have two sons, and I want something that they might be interested in also helping me with. And the second thing is it has to be something that's been in business for 10 to 20 years. So it has a really good foundation that I know it's not going to go under, you know. And then the other thing is it has to be, it's kind of a niche that I'm interested in. Something that's
Unique.
there's not going to be
Not too much competition.
I like the uniqueness of it.
And then you need to have employees, or it has to be in the business
Yes.
for at least 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, believe it
Very
or
few employees. I don't really want more than one or two. I don't want a business that's going to have a whole bunch of employees, because I know realistically that with my full-time job I cannot handle anything like that. I need something small. But if I, you know, were to retire, you know, some point maybe I could take on something bigger. But
No, I mean, I agree with you. See, right now I have about 30 employees total in all our businesses. We have very good employees, and sometimes we end up with bad employees. And then the culture is something that we have to constantly manage, in addition to you having to deal with marketing and other chores of running the business. But what I really like, Lisa, is you telling me that any business that has sustained the recessions, ups and downs, and sustained for 20 years, that's a good yardstick
Yeah.
for you to think that, okay, now I'm going to consider that business. Having less number of employees is great, and then having uniqueness is also great. How do you find these businesses?
Well, there's a website, or several websites, of course, but Biz Buy Sell is the one I think that is the most popular. And so that's the one that I have used. And, you know, word of mouth sometimes helps as well. But it's really fun to look at what's available and find something like the gardening thing. It's like, wow, I never even thought about that. But I am interested in that.
Do you still have the ice business? I remember you
Yes,
talking about the ice business.
and that my son is helping to do all of the, you know, deliveries and everything for that. So
that's amazing. You can even get to give a livelihood for our kids and family.
That's the other thing. I really wanted to teach my sons about having a business. And when you're young, you don't really have the ability to take on that kind of risk. And I mean, I don't have the ability to take on a great deal of risk right now, but I think I've been successful in.
But it's still a risk buying a business, right?
Yes.
So how do you finance it? Can you give me an example for the audience?
Yes.
How do you structure this purchase? How much do you risk? And if any time you went under, I want to know how you pull the plug on it also. I want to know all the details there.
Okay, well, the first business, like I said, it was small, only 15 clients. It was $27,000. And I put some cash down, and then the seller financed some of it with no interest. So I was able to pay it with the profit from the business within 3 years. I just paid it as I could with the profit from the business because since I was still working, I didn't need to collect, income from it. And the other business was similar. I took some money from one of my properties that's paid off. I took some money from that for part of it, and then the seller financed the other part. And so I'm about halfway through the 5 years. So that's what I like about the small business is I can pay it back much more quickly than I can a 30-year mortgage, and then have the cash flow.
Yeah, so
That'll
I
be
mean,
much
I mean,
greater.
typically, what's a good rule of thumb? Like you're talking about small businesses, you're paying less than 100,000, you're doing seller carryback on that, and it will take what, about 2 years to pay it off?
Yeah, it just depends. It's going to take me 5 for the ice business, but I could potentially pay it sooner.
Okay, so
But
I mean, even if it is 5 years, you run your business,
Mhm.
all the revenue and the profits you generate is used to pay off the
Everything
business.
is going.
From
Yeah,
the 6 years on, it's less free and
right.
free business for you to make money off of, and then you can turn around and sell the business, make a profit. If there is really good revenue coming in, then you can sell it for more than what you made.
Yes,
And
that's the goal.
so I'm pretty sure this will create a lot of inspiration from the audience, because most of the people who are working full time, they want to have a side gig and they don't know how to get started. Lisa gave me excellent tips. Go to Biz Buy Sell, keep an eye on the kinds of businesses coming, make sure it is unique, make sure that it's been in business for at least 20 years, and you'll be able to negotiate like a seller carryback or something. And then you can be a business owner, maybe pay it down with the revenues in 2 to 5 years, and after that you'll own the business free and clear, and then you can turn around and sell it. It's a very viable choice. It's going to keep our minds active.
And the sellers will train you for free. And I mean, that's they want their business to succeed, and they just give you everything that you need.
Because
to
it's their
succeed.
baby, they ran it for
Yes.
20 years. I mean, if
Yeah.
it's your baby, you want to make sure the next person is successful, especially
Yeah.
if you're doing a carry back, they want to make sure that you also pay them
Right.
back.
Exactly.
How do you reduce the risk when you are looking at these businesses?
Well, part of it is not overextending yourself to what you can lose.
See, lot of times business owners might also inflate the numbers
Mhm.
when they're trying to sell it to you, right?
Right. Which that did happen to me in this ice business.
Yeah.
Greatly. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that to be happening.
I already had to buy a new truck.
Right.
The truck they gave me was not a good truck. So
In a way, we can only do some due diligence on the numbers or the infrastructure that we are going to be buying as part of the business. That's why it's called a business. It's not a job. If it's a job, you are guaranteed of that money. In business, the best part is there is no ceiling on how much you can make. You can really expand to other territories. So as part of your due diligence, how do you analyze that it's a real income and not a phantom income or a random number?
well, they give you their tax returns. They give you copies of their invoices, their bank statements, and so you can. And then they usually send you out with them to do, like in both cases with the gardening business. I went to the different homes with them and saw what they did several times, and then the ice business, I went out on the deliveries to see that these were real clients, and they showed me the years and years and years, 25 years
Wow.
that they had been servicing, this customer. So I felt good that there was some really good, strong foundation to the customers that they were giving me.
That's great. Now I want to hear lessons. Okay, you have real estate investing business, then having a small business, like no real estate, it's a small business. What are the lessons and which one would you like more? Let's start with real estate investing business.
Real estate, I would say the biggest lesson is just patience to find the right property and the right tenant. That's been a big lesson for me because I've acted too quickly and jumped on things that ended up not being
Especially
a good
finding a
investment.
great tenant, even I agree, you don't want to rush and find a
Mhm.
tenant who you're not 100% confident about. That's my biggest lesson too, actually. I
Yeah.
would rather wait and lose a month or two of
Me
rent
too. Yeah.
than
Hands
have
down.
like a good tenant with good credit, with good history. It's very hard. If they had evictions before, then there is a good chance they are already hardy on that. So they can just not pay rent and do that. That's a great lesson for real
Yeah.
estate. How about for small businesses? What's the lesson that you want to share?
A small business, I would say don't be afraid to ask for a lower price and to be creative in the way that you finance it with the seller. Because I think a lot of business owners this day and age are retiring and they're at that stage where they want to hand this business over and they are open to very creative ways to finance it.
And surprisingly, a lot of times we think that, hey, you have kids as a business owner, why don't you give it to your kids? The reality is, kids might not be in the same frame of mind. They've seen their parents go through the business and they are like, this is not the lifestyle I want, or it's just too close to comfort. They want to be involved in any business with their family, so they just say they look the other way, and that's a terrific opportunity. In fact, I've heard about this, I read about this, that so many baby boomers are going to be retiring with thriving businesses, and it's a terrific opportunity for anybody who even doesn't have any experience. I mean, you know it. We also went into flooring business, family amusement business, then of course we have real estate and mortgage businesses. All businesses at the end of the day, I feel they are the same. You have a marketing department, you have the customers that you have to attract through your sales, you have to do great service, and then the referrals keep coming. It's the same. As long as you understand the foundations of this and you know how to do a good accounting and have key process indicators, you can be successful. So Lisa, you coming on the show is a huge inspiration for myself personally on how you're able to sustain your energy, how you're able to buy businesses. I'm not saying you're old, but you have more gray than me. And at that age, you're able to pick up businesses, negotiate with them. Before I close, any closing comments that I did not ask you about?
I would say don't be afraid to fail because that is sometimes how we learn the best, and in real estate and in small business, different forms of passive income. I have had some failed opportunities that I learned from, and it taught me to have patience. And that a lot of times that's what we're afraid of is the business won't work, or you're going to have to replace the roof on the property, or you're just thinking about all the costs and not all of the success that you might have down the road. So I think if you know yourself and you know that you're resourceful and that you have contacts, especially here in the Valley, there's just so much available to us. And if you just ask for it, you can get the help you need and make things work.
That's great. See, guys, if you don't actually do the business, there is nothing for you to learn. Theory is not going to help. You actually going and buying a business that you can afford to pay off and pay for it and then support it as you learn it is the best way. So I would encourage all of you to have more thoughts on passive income and seek inspiration from people like Lisa. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you.